We're going to continue this morning with the Arab Knights and Coach Lee Ozmint. Coach, it's always good to see you. Welcome, guys, to Media Day today. And, Coach, if you'd let the guys introduce themselves, or you introduce them and make some opening comments, we'd appreciate it this morning.
All right, you go ahead.
I'm Kurt Williams. I play offensive line.
I'm Dylan Morrow. I'm a senior. I play corner.
Logan Silva. I'm a senior. I play Mike linebacker.
Hagan Stewart, senior, and I play free safety.
These are our, and we've got other leaders that are in our senior class, and we've got some in our junior class. But this would be the backbone of our leadership, and I've been really pleased with their development. You know, we laugh about. You know, when I first got here, I looked at this class. They were in the 8th grade, and I was going to the middle school every day, and I was working out the 9th grade, which we just graduated 22 of those guys, and they won a bunch of games. And then there was the 8th grade bunch behind them, and I remember saying to my wife at night, I said, if I just keep my job their senior year, we'll be doing something right. But this bunch has really turned. They 3 years ago, if you'd have told me that I would be this optimistic, I would have laughed at you. But this has turned out to be one of my favorite bunches because I've seen so many lights come on. I've seen them flip the expectations of a group of young men, and it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to be a part of, and that kind of change doesn't just happen when a new coach comes into town. That kind of change happens when you got leadership from within, and they say, "That's enough. Let's go," and that's what's happened.
Coach, I want to congratulate you. Best year in Arab history last year. I know that's behind you. And I'll ask you and I'll ask the guys too, how much confidence does that give the program to you and these guys as you spoke on what you did coming back? Because you're just a couple of plays from being in semifinals last year. Yeah,
and I've relived those moments over and over and over again. We could have run that 2-point conversion with blindfolded, and we would have scored, but they interfered with us, which was the best play they made all night. And you just replay it. But, and we can get stuck in a rut if we want to. But no, we got another opportunity in front of us, and we don't want to miss it. So that's where we are as a team. I've challenged this group. We went on our senior trip last week, and I've challenged this group, and they have risen to the challenge, and I've given them a few gut checks along the way, and particularly one of the things we did last week. It was hot, and I was fully expecting a meltdown, and I'd already planned how I was going to respond to the meltdown because most teams would have melted, and it was one of the best practices we've had. Now we had some guys get close to passing out, but they were playing, they were going. And it was a good thing.
Guys, would you comment on how much confidence that gave to know you were that close last year, and how much that confidence that gives you going into this season?
We got a taste of it last year, and we love putting in the work because we want to get there again. And we're very optimistic because we know our standards to doing the little things and competing and getting better every day. And that's something we love to do as a team. And we focus on, like I said, the little things and playing football with controlled violence. And that's something this group's really good at. So I'm very optimistic.
Well, we learned how to work from the group that graduated last year. So it's really given us like a spark of hope for this season, because we graduated 22 and we've only got 14 now. So it's showed us how to work, and it showed us that we need to play at their level.
Like Dylan said, I feel like last year gave us a taste of what is achievable for us, And I feel like with everybody buying in, that we have a good chance of doing it again.
I feel like we have a good chance at repeating what we did last year because of the group coming behind us and then the leadership, like Coach Oz said. We've really stepped it up, and I think we have a good chance.
As for Coach Ozmint, you spoke on this. You talk about the kids having the light come on. And that's an important thing. That's one of those things, and you've been doing this for a long time. Is that one of the things that motivates you to come back year after year?
That's yes. That to see the light come on. I'm gonna pick this guy out. Okay, he didn't think I was gonna pick on him today, but 3 years ago he was playing quarterback, and he was mediocre on a good day. He threw the ball like a watermelon, and I approached him and we talked about playing cornerback. And I said, "You got the build for. You're fast. You can run. You're quick. You got all the tools to be a good corner. Would you want to play corner?" And he sheepishly, I think he just wanted to get on the field, but he sheepishly stepped in and said, "Oh, okay, I'll play it." And that first spring, he made a really good break on the ball, something that I didn't coach nor that I knew he had, but he had a monster break on the ball, and it's been a blur ever since. He's one of the best cover corners I've ever coached, and I've coached some good ones. And just to see that, just to see the selflessness of him stepping away from quarterback into a position that he'd never played nor had any interest in, to step in and do what he's done, it's extraordinary when you're talking about a 16-year-old kid that looks at social media and sees, one narcissist after another, and it's all about me, and what's mine. And then to see these kids step in and take accountability to each other and to sacrifice for each other, that makes my job. That makes me sing. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, because he's going to spend the rest of his life doing that. If he gets married, if he has a family, he's going to spend the rest of his life sacrificing with that smile on his face for the ones he loves. And this is a great, not a good one, a great primer to teach a young man that, no doubt.
Coach,
Yes.
kind of tailing end off what you just said, I've known you for many years. You used to kill me in the YMCA League in Gadsden. I did your family cell
I'm sorry
phones.
for whatever I did and for whatever I said.
Hey, but no, you were good. And I always did your family cell phones when I was at Verizon. But my point to that is I see what kind of character and what kind of man you are off the field with your family and your kids. You've been successful everywhere you've been, Glencoe, Oxford, now at A-Rab, that's no mystery. But what separates, DNA is different in different areas of the state. What separates these A-Rab kids and some of these other places you've been? Because I know they got the right leader in the place.
Well, and when you say the right leader, use plural, because it doesn't matter what the leader does if the leaders don't buy in. It doesn't matter. You can be the best football coach in the world. If the leaders on your team don't buy in, you're spinning your wheels. You're not gonna. You might win a few, but you're not gonna win. You're not gonna have a program that is set on winning. And that's what's happened at A-Rab. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the character of the kids. I've challenged them just like I challenge everybody else. But these kids, these young men, rose to those challenges. And they understand the cost of leadership as well. I heard one of the coaches at the SEC Media Days talking about the cost of leadership. Leadership costs something, but the rewards are greater than whatever it cost. And the rewards come in terms of things that maybe aren't related to the immediate leadership. It comes in terms of wins. It comes in terms of satisfaction. It comes in terms of seeing this kid actually belong to something beyond himself, and through their leadership, that's what's happening on this football team. And look, you've seen us play. We're not going to outrun anybody. We're not going to outthrow anybody. We're not going to, we're strong, but we're not the strongest on any given night on the field. But I can tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go full speed every play, and we're going to do the little things better than you can consistently.
Coach, to that same thing, speak about your staff and what your coordinators and your coaches have done, especially the fact that you haven't changed anybody in a while.
I've got I'm sure every coach says this, but I believe it. I've got the best coaching staff in the state, and I'm like a dog with two tails. I'm both of them wagging because I'm lucky in that regard. I'm blessed in that regard, and Kyle Routon is our defensive coordinator, and he speaks in terms and language that these young men can understand. And they understand. We were talking about that on the way up here. There's a language that you talk. I'm not talking about cursing. I'm talking about a language that you can speak over their heads, because these are 16, 17-year-old kids. And you can say the right things, and you can talk about the technicalities of it, and it'll just go right over their head. But Kyle puts it in terms that they understand. And there's not a single guy on the defense that doesn't know what his job responsibilities are. And they do. They're nodding their head. They'll all tell you that. They know what they're doing, and they're not thinking on the field. They're reacting, they're running, they're playing football. And then on the offensive side, Chad Hudson, when I hired him, I had Michael Darden, who came with me from Oxford. I love Michael like a son. And when he left, I thought, it's the end of the world. Hired Chad to do it, and I'm telling you, Chad he has been one of the best I've ever been around. And he does the same thing with the offense that Kyle does with the defense. He keeps it simple, and there's not a whole lot of thinking going on. And it looks complex. What we do looks complex. It's really very simple, defensively and offensively, but we can do it out of multiple sets.
Coach, when you come off of such a good season like you had last year, what is your first priority when you're preparing to start a new season, especially over the summer?
Good question. The same thing that makes you laugh makes you cry sometimes, right? You raise the standard, you raise the expectations, and now, you got to play to those expectations. But those are good problems. To me, those are good problems. I mean, I would rather go into the season the way we are now than to go into the season with people saying, "Well, here we go again. We're going to look good, but we're going to lose." That's kind of the mindset that's it's toxic, and we know the expectations. We know, Gunnersville was here before us, and who were their eyes on? Look, we got a target on our back. I know that. These guys know that. And I applaud that. I welcome that, because that means we're doing something right. And, we've got to make our approach the same way we've made every approach. And our standard isn't Gunnersville. They're a good program, great football. They're going to play hard. They're going to do everything the way they do, which is good. I can look at any number of teams and say the same thing about it, but best is our standard. Our best is our standard. And every day they go out on that practice field, they know that. They know, look, if I see you not giving your best, I'm going to call you out. And where the magic happens is when it's not me calling them out, it's when Logan Silva's calling them out, and he's done it. It's when Morrow is calling them out. It's when, Kurt's calling them out, or when Hagan's calling them out, or when one of our leaders one of our players is calling them out for not giving their best. And that's when it happens. And it's happening. It's present progressive. It's happening.
Coach, you're coming off the best season in program history, but how much would you say there's still a bad taste left in the mouth with the way that the season ended?
Yeah, you're right. I've relived that second overtime over and over and over again, and we, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and that's great. But and that'll motivate you for a while. But I'm telling you, what sustains us is giving our best every day, showing up and giving your best, regardless of how you feel, every day. And that if I get focused on that and forget about the everyday, I think I'm setting a trap for myself, and I'm gonna fall in the pit, and I'm not gonna be able to get out of it, right? So, yeah, that's great, and learn from it. What do we learn from it? We learn that every play counts. We also learned that when you're coming up on a forced play, what do? Do you turn your shoulders? Guys, what do? Do you turn your shoulders? You keep your shoulders square?
Just keep them square.
Keep them square, right? And if we'd have kept our shoulders square, we win. We're in the semifinals, and we're hosting. Big deal, right? But no, it didn't happen. But we learned from it, right? The important thing is we embrace that failure by learning from it. And then we incorporate that into our everyday, and every day we demand when you take on that lead block, when you set that edge, you got to keep your shoulder square. You don't turn your shoulders. Keep your shoulders square. And by golly, it's working.
It must be working. 11 wins last year at ARAB. Coach, thanks for being here today. Good luck to you and the Knights. Open at home against Albertville about 4 weeks from today.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.